All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Downtime Podcast Live. Tonight, I'm going to be joined by one of the UK's fastest up-and-coming riders, Joe Breeden. So make sure you get all of your questions up in the chat over there. Anything you want to ask Joe, chuck them in there, and we'll do our best to get through them. Thanks to everyone that sent questions in advance. We'll get to those as well. If you're enjoying the video tonight, don't forget to hit like, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There's more of these live shows there you can catch up on. There's more coming, and there's plenty of other videos up there as well. So yeah, time to meet this week's guest. Welcome to Downtime Podcast Live, Joe Breeden. How's it going?
Hello, you all right?
I'm good, mate. Yeah,
pretty good. Thank you.
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us on this. Well, it's a rainy evening here. I don't know what it's like with you.
Yeah, very similar. No, thank you very much for having me on again.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, so last time we spoke, it would have been, I think it was October last year, and we recorded the podcast episode that people can go and check out if they want to over on the website. But at that point in time, I think you were pretty close to signing contracts with a team, and it wasn't a team that you're currently riding for. Can you tell us a little bit about what you went through the back end of last year to get to where you are now?
Yeah, so that's pretty much exactly right. As when I did the interview with you at the end of last year, during that time I was due to sign any week then, really. That was with InSync, and it looked really positive. But very shortly after that, a few weeks later probably it fell through out of nowhere. The whole plans for that team just were dropped immediately. And that was already quite late in kind of contract negotiations time. So after that, it was a horrible shock and horrible news. But I had to go straight back to the drawing board and try and find the ride for this year, which was definitely a stressful time. And it was over a number of months that I was looking for something, seeing what I could do, looking down all the different options. And I think it wasn't until January this year where I actually signed with Polygon UR. So, yeah, very mixed emotions, stressful time for me. When I thought I was secure, I'd had a good year, and I thought I was safe, and then out of nowhere, like bang, was touch and go whether I was going to be able to even race a full season this year. But luckily now we're here, and I've signed with Polygon UR, which I was so pleased about.
Yeah, so I'm guessing at that time in the season, like a lot of teams have filled their roster, so there's not many spaces left, is there?
No, well, I was getting in touch with loads of people, and pretty much everyone's all signed up, deals negotiated. There's nothing really lingering around at that time. End of season is kind of when teams start, well, I'm aware, teams start negotiating deals, and pretty soon after the season, it's pretty much all done and dusted. So when I'm still trying to look for something in November, December, it's very desperate times. Not a lot about then at all.
Were you starting to think about going the privateer route and getting some support for that?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the options I looked at. Priced it all up to do a full World Cup and national season, and my workings out from travel, all expenses, and for me to do it with, at the time, my mechanic Lundy, was around £40,000. So that's a big sum of money to try and get together. I was talking with some brands, trying to work out how much money I could potentially pull together. And there was some progress down that route, but it wasn't really going to be enough, and I can't back it myself. So yeah, it was a potential option, but it was never really going to work 100%. It was always going to be very difficult to manage. So it wasn't very realistic, to be honest. But I looked down that route for a long time, speaking to a lot of different brands, a few bike companies, clothing brands, all sorts, to see what level of support I could get. But yeah, I'm very, very thankful that I got given this opportunity on Polygon, because I definitely wouldn't have wanted to go down that route as a privateer.
Yeah, brutal. Where did the Polygon thing come from in the end then?
I pretty much contacted most teams, seeing if there was any last minute kind of anything going, basically, and Couscous, the owner of the team, got in touch with me. I can't remember dates, but saying, "You still looking for something? We'd like to try and work something out if possible." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, still looking. Let me know if you can do anything." Talk from there, and then a couple of weeks later, he was trying to make something happen, and it looked positive. And basically, probably a month, maybe more, of negotiations from it looking like it could happen to really pretty certain it wasn't going to happen. And then out of nowhere, I had a deal. And yeah, within like a couple of weeks, I was signed. So just crazy times right until the last second. But it's, yeah, as I say, it's worked out in the end, thankfully.
Yeah. And how long was it before you managed to get your hands on one of the bikes?
They were brilliant. Pretty much immediately. I think I signed, well, it was around January, and I think it was probably a week and a half later, I had a bike at my house. Luckily, Mick's Mechanic's mechanic, John Stout, is in Scotland. So he had some bikes there that he could just ship straight down to me, which was brilliant. So yeah, within a week and a half, I think I was on the bike and up and running, which was brilliant.
Yeah. And that's a very, very different bike from what you were riding last season, yeah?
Yeah, massively. So I never got to test the bike before signing because obviously times were so tight and it wasn't really a realistic option. So I was quite concerned with signing with a bike that was so different to anything else. So yeah, so different to anything I'd ever ridden and pretty much different to anything on the market. So yeah, it was a concern. But then when I first rode it, I was, yeah, kind of relaxed. You know, I knew it was a good bike, and all the emotions of, oh, what if it's terrible, what if I don't like it, was just gone after the first ride. So yeah, scary, but again, worked out. So
yeah, and it's because it's got that React rear end on it, hasn't it?
Which is amazing. Yeah. There was a few things I noticed straight away, and one, as soon as I got on it after building it, was how well it pedals. That's something I've never felt before on a downhill bike. And then how playful it was and how it sticks to the floor, the rear end traction. I still can't get my head around the engineering of how it actually works, but somehow it just feels like it's suction to the floor, and it just tracks unbelievably well. So yeah, those two were the kind of standout features to me, and it's just, yeah, such a fun bike to ride.
Yeah, and very different to set up, right? Because with that React, you run quite low levels of damping on the rear end.
I wouldn't say necessarily.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I mean, I'm on a fast suspension shock with a 525-pound spring, or 500/525 depending. And I'm not exactly sure on the tune within the shock. I think it was just pretty much mixed settings from last year where I started off. So I'm not sure what the tuning inside that shock is, but yeah, I'm no expert on what that is like, to be honest.
Fair play. So how do you go about getting set up on a new bike then? Because it's like everything's different, yeah?
Yeah. The first kind of thing for me is getting bar height to somewhere where I'm happy, but that's pretty simple, really.
How
takes a few runs.
Is that just feel?
Yeah, that's just feel. Kind of, I took a measurement from my old bike to get a rough estimate of where it is, but it changes to what bike you're on. It feels different compared to bottom bracket height and where you're actually standing on the bike. So,
is it
kind of always the first thing?
Yeah, is it about like, is the feel that you're getting kind of front end grip compared to where your body position is on the bike? Is that what you're adjusting to, or is it something else?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's front end grip that I go for immediately, because I'm not pushing grip levels at all at that point. It's just my body position on the bike, where my weight distribution is, and what feels comfortable. I don't start, like, I get that first. What feels comfortable? Where do I enjoy riding? What's the position? I normally much more enjoy myself if I've got a higher front end. And then after that, when I start refining, differences of a couple mil in the front end height, that's when I'm pushing the limits of grip, and that's when I notice the front end grip is better with slightly lower front end, or often it changes with everything you do, suspension setup, front and back.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a number of things, but the basic bar height setup is just done on feel, really, not pushing the limits at all.
Okay. Yeah. And then what comes after bar height?
Well, it was quite a strange one because everything was brand new. So forks were new, tires were new, like literally everything on the bike was brand new. So learning which tires were good in which conditions, what pressures to run. I'm running slightly lower on the Kenda because they seem pretty sturdy and firm sidewall, so I don't really have to worry about them folding or, like they don't feel. Some tires are much more supportive from their sidewall, and Kenda I'm running slightly lower than I was on Maxxis last year. And then you've got like the fork, which is completely new air pressure, completely new high speed, low speed settings. So it's literally just playing with all that. Completely new spring rate on the shock, learning how that whole system works with the new suspension linkage. And then the other big one was whether to go mullet or 429.
Okay.
So there was a lot going on, and it was just getting my head around all the new stuff. None of it really came before the other. As long as the bar height's in a nice position and reach is comfortable, then I can start playing from there, really.
Yeah. And have you kept the reach kind of standard, or have you messed around with longer, shorter cups and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, the reach standard was 475, which I was very happy with. But after I played around with the 29 and mullet, I ended up settling with the mullet. With that, it meant I needed to bring the head angle back a bit steeper because with the smaller wheel on the back, obviously it slackens it out.
Yeah.
So with that, I've got an angled headset, which is made it to about 480 reach. So yeah, I'm very happy at that. 475, as long as I'm between 475, 480, I can work between that.
Yeah.
So yeah, stuck with the 480 reach because that's basically what worked better with the mullet wheel on the back. So
yeah. So what was it about the mullet that stood out for you then over the 29?
I did a couple days of timing and a couple days of just riding on different tracks. The times, there was hardly anything in it. I did loads of times runs, but there was, on one day I did 6 timed runs, 3 or 4 on each one it was. And then when I look back at the times, there was, throughout the whole day, there was about 0.8 separating the mullet and the 29 back and front. So that it wasn't a lot in it. For me, the 29 was ever so slightly slower, but the decision maker was the fact that when I rode the mullet, I felt like I was a lot more comfortable and I enjoyed riding that more.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was on the 429, I felt like it was a little more loose. I was probably pushing a bit harder to try and get the same time. I wasn't as comfortable. It didn't come as natural.
Okay.
So it was that feeling. There was nothing in the times. So let's bring it to what do I prefer, which do I enjoy the most, and which do I feel most comfortable on. And that was the mullet.
Yeah.
Which I was very surprised about because I was planning to just run 29 back and front. I thought I'll run the mullet to put it out of my head so I'm not, wondering all year, should I be running the mullet? I was just planning to test it, saying, no, I like the 29 better. But the complete opposite happened, and I preferred the mullet and ended up settling with that. So
yeah, that's odd because you've been on 29 for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's not like you're going fair, up to 29.
Was the first year I did full 29. But I never even tried mullet that year.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was like at all. But I've been on 29 trail bikes for a couple of years now.
Yeah, and you're quite a tall guy, yeah?
Yeah, 6'2".
Yeah.
So I didn't struggle with the back tire buzz that the shorter riders do.
Yeah.
That wasn't part of it at all. It was just body position on the bike. I felt more comfortable on the mullet.
Fair play.
That's pretty much as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, it's good if you feel comfortable and the time is like slightly better or not worse, then that's win-win, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Happy days. Cool.
More comfortable than it was. So
yeah. So not only did Polygon test your ability to get a bike set up pretty quickly, they also tested your acting skills straight away. And you managed to sneak your dad into the launch video. Well, not the launch video, the welcome to the team video.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad was pretty stoked to have featured on that video. I think he did quite a good acting role, to be fair to him.
Solid job.
But no, that launch video, introduction to the team video for me was, I think it was the second or third time I'd ever ridden the bike. That was before I'd done any of the mullet testing. I was on 29 back and front there. That was literally just bar height to a position where I was comfortable and I could ride without feeling really sketchy. So yeah, that filming came immediately. And like, as you can probably see in the video, I was comfortable straight away. And yeah, it was a funny one because the UR team always like a bit of comedy, a bit of acting to their videos. They don't just like a plain mainstream video. So it was really cool to get the acting part done and then to have my dad feature in it. And it was good crack to film it. And I think it went down really well on social media. So yeah, it was a success, I'd say.
Yeah, happy days. And then it wasn't long before you were off on a plane over to New Zealand then to spend some time with the team. Was it a bit of a team camp? Like what was the vibe?
Yeah, well, first thing, I think I went to San Remo for a week's testing with Suntour.
Okay.
And then immediately from there, I flew to New Zealand for 3 weeks, which was a team camp. They always have, or I think pretty much always have, their team camps out in Queenstown every winter. The whole team gets together. We do a selection of media projects, testing, training, all that sort of stuff, and then we head out to Crankworx Rotorua to come compete in that. So yeah, for me, I was so excited to go out there. It was something I was looking forward to for a long time, really. So many new faces. The whole, like, I didn't know anyone at all, but I knew of them and I'd heard a lot about all of them, and I was really excited to meet them. So yeah, it was a crazy 3 weeks getting to know everyone individually. Loads of filming, shooting, training, racing. It was just flat out, really. But no, brilliant time for sure. And what was also strange is I think that we were staying in the villa that they have there, and I think there was maybe 8 or 9, 10 of us, including the media crew. And I was the youngest by, I think, 8, 9 years. So I was the proper young gun amongst all the legends, you could call it, I suppose. So a strange environment for me, but yeah, it was brilliant.
Nice. Did you know Mick and Tracy much from World Cups or not really?
No, not at all. Obviously I knew of them, how can't you? But I never spoken to him one-on-one personally. But I was definitely not concerned about getting on with them, should I say, because I'd say they're renowned as probably two of the nicest, well, guy and women on the World Cup circuit. They're pretty famous for just being really nice and friendly. So I did a lot of positive things about them both. And yeah, I wasn't really too concerned about what our relationship was going to be like, but
yeah.
Do you
think it'd be helpful having those two on the team? Because you've got obviously last year's overall series winner with Tracy, and Mick still super quick, like been in the sport for what feels like forever at a super high level. It must be good people to learn from.
Yeah, well, again, you've got two absolute legends who have got absolute huge knowledge of racing as a whole, like everything. They've kind of been through it, injuries, like winning world champ medals, World Cup overalls, like they've kind of been through it all. So it's great to be able to have that knowledge passed on, and they're more than happy to share with me some of their experiences and what they've learned over the years, which is absolutely amazing. Like, it's something I've never had before. The last couple of years I've been the leading rider on the team, and I was only 20, so well, that's crazy. Whereas now there's a huge field of riders and team managers, mechanics, everything that I can learn so much from and have done already. And they're also happy to share it with me, which is amazing.
Yeah. And it's a big change in setup, I guess. What you had last few seasons is really cool. You got a really good team around you there, but it's still like you're sharing a mechanic with other riders. it's a fairly small infrastructure, whereas now you've got this huge truck. Do you get your own mechanic as well?
No, me and Mick are sharing with John this year. But there's two main mechanics, and there's me, Tracy, and Mick. So I think there'll be a bit of mixture between all, really.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, I mean, completely different again. Last 3 years I've been doing it on my own with my mechanic, or there's been one or two other teammates there. But I mean, last year for the second half at the World Cups, it was literally just me and Lundy went out in my van for some of them, in the team van for others, and we just did it ourselves. We had like a small easy up and just literally did the whole lot ourselves, which is kind of hard work, and it gets on top of you. You literally have to do everything for yourself. You're cooking, like packing, setting pits. Like, I know you do all that, you help with all that on a factory team, but it's the fact that the responsibility isn't just your own. Like, there's people to spread the worries, the stress between.
Yeah.
Whereas if there was any problems, it was mine and at the time my mechanic Lundy. And there's, not a lot of kind of teamwork going on. There's not a whole group of people trying to solve a situation or blah blah blah. So yeah, like my first experience of that was Crankworx, and I really enjoyed that race. I wasn't too stressed out or too I just enjoyed it, and I think that's a lot because there was a whole team around me, and we were working together. We were helping each other. It just made the whole thing much more enjoyable and relaxed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite hard to explain it very well, but it's just a lot. Well, for me, I find it a lot more enjoyable and easier.
Yeah, and that's without having the massive truck. I'm guessing that wasn't over in New Zealand.
Not at all. We only had I don't know the size, but it was a few easy ups. But it's just having everyone helping, nice working relationship with everyone. It just makes it a nice environment to be in, for sure.
Yeah, and it showed in your race run. You had an absolute stormer apart from that little crash up at the top, right?
Yeah, it was good apart from the crash. I mean, I still ended up fourth. I think 2.4 seconds off the win, which was Mick.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I was happy with the way I rode, and the speed was there. It was just that one mistake where I pushed a grassy corner a little bit too hard. So it's not the end of the world. Like, I proved my speed and proved it to myself. So yeah, it just showed that I was happy with the setup I was on already and kind of clicked with the bike and the team already, which was great.
Yeah. How do you not get rattled by something like that? Because it's quite near the start of the run. But I watched your head cam and you just, like, the bike went down, you just picked it back up, got straight back on, didn't hear you swear at yourself or anything. Like, you just seemed to be straight back on it. How do you refocus after something like that?
I did struggle, to be honest. I mean, you don't really have time to think. And there was a few spots where I thought it was over. I didn't think there was any chance of getting a decent result at all. But I thought, come on, you need to, like, something I've tried to teach myself over the years is never give up. Always give it 100%, because there's sometimes that I've crashed, that I've come down not far off a good result. So I was trying to tell myself, don't give up, come on, still give it 100%. But there wasn't quite that fire to, like, I wasn't pedaling max power. I wasn't pedaling in a few spots I should have done. It was kind of like a two-way fight in my brain. Like, come on, you need to keep going as hard as you can. And then the other side was like, you've crashed, you're not going to get a result, there's no point. So it was like battling that whole way down. Weird mixed emotions for sure. And then when I crossed the line, I couldn't quite understand how I was in second behind Mick, and there was only, like, I think 3 riders left or something. So yeah, it was really mixed emotions, that run and that day, to be honest.
Yeah, but good to know that you're on a brand new bike, brand new team, and the win was kind of in sight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, all positives to come away from, really. I mean, it's just a simple mistake that I pushed the front too much, and I shouldn't have pushed that hard in a grassy corner, but I wasn't quite familiar enough with the levels of grip there. So simple mistake. Wasn't like lack of concentration or anything. It was just I pushed the front too much on the grass and there wasn't that much grip. So yeah, bit too eager maybe, I say.
It happens. It always happens. What about the Enduro? You entered that as well.
Yeah, hard that was. I've done a few Enduros. I mean, my biggest has been Hard Rock in the UK, so nothing exactly extreme. But that was 2 days. Well, one competition day, one practice day. I think it was 5 hours in the Saddle Elite J, so it was very similar to an EWS. I was kind of mid-pack because I'd never raced any Enduros before, so I had no ranking. And I had to make a number of moves on pretty much every stage. It was just, I don't know. It was a great experience, and I was supposed to race some EWS this year. So I needed the practice and the experience, and I think that's exactly what I got. And the result wasn't too bad either. I think it was, I can't remember exactly, 22nd or 17th or something like that.
It was decent, yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't so bad. And that was cool because I did that with Wolfie, who's the Enduro rider on the team, and then Mick as well. So they kind of showed me the ropes of what it's like to do a proper Enduro, because they both raced EWS quite a lot in the past.
Are you looking forward to doing, or were you looking forward to doing some EWS, or is that not the sort of thing that excites you?
I think it suits me. I think physically it's kind of what I'd excel at, where the area I'd be good at. But it's never an easy day, that's for sure. It'll be a lot more to learn because it's a completely new field of racing for me, and it's long days in the saddle. So yeah, kind of not my expertise of what I've been training towards, but I think I would be well suited after a few races and learning a bit more about it.
Yeah, fair play. But I'm guessing, COVID put the kibosh on that for a little while.
Very much so. I'm not sure how it's going to work at the end of the year, to be honest. I don't think we'll be able to manage downhill and EWS in the short space of time we've got. So yeah, I don't know if that'll happen at all. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. So yeah, what has been the impact of this whole pandemic on you? Because initially, was it like the 23rd of March or whatever, we locked down here in the UK, which Wales was definitely a part of then, but we're all going on slightly different paths at the minute. But yeah, what did it mean for you?
Probably the same as most people. Can't really leave your house and you're stuck at home. Which for me is, I'm extremely fortunate with where I live. I live in the middle of nowhere in Wales, with a couple acres of land, and really good riding right on my doorstep. So considering the situation, I've got it pretty good, and I've had it pretty good, but still I'm not away racing my bike and not riding downhill flat out with other people. So yeah, I mean, as it comes, I've had it really good. I took probably, I think it was 2.5 weeks off from a strict training program, because obviously we've got a long time until we race, and I've just come off a very heavy winter of training, so I needed to have a bit of time away from heavy training. And now I'm back into it with full plans to September. So yeah, training still full time, kind of riding where I can, but we've got to keep it quite low risk still. We're not exactly going flat out timing against the clock, we're just keeping it nice and steady. But I think a big thing for me has been developing my skills as like a general rider, something that I often don't have time to do when we're caught up in racing, and if we're not racing, we're training for a race. So it's nice to be able to just go out, ride mixed bikes, dirt jump bikes, trail bikes, just messing around, trying to develop my skills, which is amazing. It's something I haven't done since I was a kid. And I can really feel the effects when I get back on a downhill bike. I feel better for it. So yeah, an amazing opportunity to be able to capitalize on trying to improve as a rider as a whole.
Yeah, that's cool.
For example, for me, riding steep lips is something that I could definitely improve on. At Hardline last year, the techie downhill didn't bother me at all, but there was a few steep lips there that just really stopped me from being able to do it, basically. So I've made an effort to ride plenty of dirt jumps and try and get used to that feel of riding big lips, and I feel completely different already. So it's a good time to kind of improve my areas of weakness where I might not have had time to improve otherwise.
Yeah, nice one. And a good excuse to go out and play on bikes, which we all should do more of, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's great fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, brilliant.
Nice one. And what about like, because you obviously you use the gym quite a lot. I know you train with Alan Milway and you work with like Charlie Hatton and riders like that. That's had to stop, I suppose. Have you got kit at home? Like, how have you coped with the sort of physical element that's not on the bike?
Yeah, normally we go see my coach Milway every other week with all the facilities you could possibly need. Obviously, that's been taken away from us. I haven't seen him since the start of lockdown. I bought a watt bike just before lockdown, so I've got that at home, and I've bought barbell and weights. So I've got the fundamentals, but it's not perfect, if you know what I mean. But it's good enough to get something done.
Yeah.
But for example, watt bike, if you're in a lab testing or at home on a watt bike, it's still a watt bike. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But at the minute, for example, I'm waiting for my own barbell and weights to come through the post because it was so difficult to get hold of any gym equipment at this time unless you were straight bang on it, which unfortunately I wasn't. So my girlfriend's actually lent me her 60 kilogram barbell. So it's just 60 kilogram of weights. So I've been kind of making do with that and trying to do best I can with that amount of weight. But no, the proper weight should be here this week, I think. So that'll help again.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can make do. You can still keep it up and make gains for sure.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've managed to maintain or make gains from where you were? Have you seen any of the numbers kind of drop off?
No, I'd say my max power output in terms of strength and say watts on the bike will be down, but that's simply because of the phase of training we're going through. We're not at max power kind of training right now, explosiveness, because that comes just before the season. We can't hold that kind of sharpness for 6 months whilst we're waiting to race. That comes right at the end. So that's definitely taken a toll, but that's just because we've altered the training. Same cardio-wise, so aerobically I've been better than I ever have been, and that's because we've managed to get a lot more riding in, like long rides, road rides, mountain bike rides, and loads of stuff on the watt bike done. So cardio-wise, aerobically, I'm better than ever before. And strength-wise, I will be down a little bit, explosiveness, but we'll tailor that and we'll build up to that as the season nears. But we've still got a few months, so we won't be building up to that pure power for a little while yet.
Yeah, fair play. And how did you feel when you saw the new schedule come out?
First off, I kind of thought, is that really going to happen? Like, really? And then I can't think that anymore. Otherwise, I'll struggle to train on a daily basis. I'll struggle for the motivation. So I've decided that, right, it's happening. I've got a plan. I've got to be prepared 100% for when it does happen. And if plans change or things get cancelled, then I can retalk the plan with my coach and kind of change then. But for now, what we know is we're going to be racing in September, so I've got to 100% commit to that program. And until there's change or until we're at the race, then it's going to remain that way, really.
Yeah. How do you feel about the double headers at the same venue? That's going to be a pretty tiring time.
Yeah, that really excites me. The back-to-back racing, I would love to do. The double headers, I have no idea how that'll work, but again, something new, something different, and I'm really excited for that. And we was never supposed to go to Lenzerheide this year, so when that was put on the new calendar, I was stoked as well because I always like going there. So yeah, when I seen it, I thought great venues, and having them all back-to-back pretty much. For me, I think will be good. I was very happy with the calendar and the dates and the venues. Couldn't have really changed it to make it for anything different. Yeah.
Do you know anything about how they'll do selection for the Worlds team with no results to work off?
Yeah, well, no, I don't know the answer. I've thought about it, and I can only think that they're going to have to just give everyone really short notice on who's the team, and just going to have to select off, what is there, 2 or 3 races before Worlds?
Yeah,
I
not
don't know.
much. Maybe 2.
It's about that
Well,
anyway.
was Val di Sole before and that's been cancelled?
Yeah, so is it just 2 now? Or is it just
Yeah,
1?
might just be 1. I can't picture it in my head, but it's not many.
So I don't know. They probably have to take a bit of information from last year,
Yeah.
and then also, I don't know. Maybe just from the first race, which is Lenzerheide, they might just have to take the top 7 Brits from that. I really don't know. Really don't know. I think it'll be difficult for everyone involved, and there'll be some people unhappy for sure.
Yeah. All you got to do is keep doing your best, though, innit? And
Yeah,
see
exactly.
what happens.
There's no point focusing on that too much because it's not something I have control over.
Yeah. So what are your hopes and goals for the season if it gets underway?
Still exactly the same as if it was all normal, I suppose. Goals I kind of want this year is to be consistently in and around the top 20 in the World Cups. Worlds is always a goal, but again, you just got to ride your best and hope that that's good enough. And then kind of national champs is one that every year I'll be trying to win now after third last year. I mean, podium's always great, but you definitely want to try and win that one at some point. So it's always going to be the goal from now on. And as you know, it's very difficult because there's a handful of people with that same goal who can all achieve it. But again, I think that race will be cancelled. I think that's pretty much certain that race will be cancelled in my eyes. So there will be no national champs. It will just be the World Cups at the end of the year. So that will be the focus.
Yeah, and like you say, too much overlap with the Enduro World Series stuff at the back end of the year to be able to do both by the looks of it.
Yeah, I would have thought so, but we'll see how it pans out, I suppose. I'm not sure exactly.
You could be a very busy man.
Yeah. Well, I guess the Enduros might go on a little bit longer than the downhill season, so maybe it'll be 2 months back-to-back downhill racing and then a month back-to-back EWS racing, but we'll see. I'm really not sure on the calendar or what we're supposed to be doing yet.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really knows exactly what's going to happen, but we'll see what happens over the next few months. All right, we've got a few questions that came in. This one came in via email this evening, in fact. This is from Mark Sinden. He says, I understand your parents were very supportive of you becoming a professional mountain biker. Could you explain how they supported you and how influential they were in what and where you rode?
Yeah, he's completely right. Absolute huge part in getting me to where I am today. I mean, there's nowhere to really start or end. It's just always they're supportive. I wanted to race, and they took me to the races, so they were so supportive. They didn't push me to do anything, but if I wanted to do it and they thought I was putting the effort in for it, they would support me. And as a youth, juvenile, junior, they always saw that I was putting the effort in, so they'd put equivalent effort in. If they'd see that I was lacking, then they would just pull the support straight away. They wouldn't put time and money into something that I wasn't taking seriously. But clearly it was, and that kind of commitment never ran away. So they've just always stayed like with me, doing anything, and then like everything that they think will help me with my future and my career. Yeah, like I would not be where I am today without them. It's just wouldn't have been possible. You have to get to the races when you're young. You have to have the money from them to be able to do what I did. So, like, yeah, this just would not have been possible without parents that were that supportive.
Fair play. Good on them.
Still now, like through everything, through all the negotiations of trying to sort of ride for this year, they're with me every step of the way, trying to, help me think of ideas, potential things that I could do, and everything really. It's full on with support from them for sure. They're amazing.
Awesome. There's a follow-up part to that question. He says, also as a parent of a fanatical 13-year-old mountain biker who wants to race in DH World Cups or Enduro World Series in the future, what advice would you give him to help support his kid's dream without becoming a pushy parent?
That's a very good question. I believe that if a parent's pushy and they kind of want it more than the child does, then you've got yourself in quite a bad situation. I think it's got to come from the child, and it shouldn't be pushed. It should just be supported when they are kind of after the support, if you know what I mean. So if they want to be doing the uplift days or the racing, then if a parent can be fully supportive of that, then that's amazing. But I don't think it should be necessarily pushing or telling them they should be doing this or that. It should come from the child. And of course, a bit of direction is amazing. Some ideas, some potential things, what they can do. But at the end of the day, I think it has to come from within the child. And as long as the parent's there to support it in whatever way they can to help the child's dream proceed, then yeah, that's kind of job done, I'd say. I mean, my parents were never pushy to do anything. One kind of moment that really sticks out to me was national champs as a youth when I must have been 15, 16, and that year I'd finished second as British national youth overall, but national champs I think I finished fourth. And we came away from that race and Dad was just like, look, if you perform like that, which at the time was quite harsh, but he said if you perform like that, it's not good enough and you will not be able to get to where you want with performances like that, and won't support it anymore, which is very difficult to take and to hear, like, as you're coming away from a race that you know you've done bad at. But I mean, it's difficult. Like, you can't give them endless opportunities if they're not putting the work in or if they're not bringing results. But if you can see that they are really committed to it and they're putting in a lot of work and time and effort to pursue that, then I think a parent should, if they can, return the same kind of amount of support.
Yeah, so it sounds like your parents knew how to kind of just give you a little nudge. They knew when the right time was, just to give you a little bit of extra encouragement, yeah. Almost.
Well, I think coming away from that race, Dad was just as angry as I was, and he knew that he'd taken the whole weekend off. He'd paid for whatever it was, the bikes, the kit, the race entries, the fuel to get there, all that. And he'd felt we'd come away without having performed, and he feels like he's wasted his time. At that actual race, it was nothing to do with my commitment or my effort. I'd done everything I could, and I just didn't have enough knowledge to have done it well enough. So it's kind of balance. I mean, I got, yeah, that day was definitely like, look, you have to do something about it if you want to pursue, and I did. So I think a child will go either way. They'll think, yes, I really want to do this, and they'll look down every option of how they can improve. At that time, like, I was reading, it was my mindset that was holding me back then, and I was reading books on all sorts of, mental attitudes and performance, all that sort of stuff. So like, they kind of saw that, look, he's trying to make a difference. He's trying to think of how he can become better in that. And that shows seriousness, whereas I think a lot of children would not be too bothered and they would just, let it slip. And yeah, I think it depends on, the kind of motivation of the child, and the motivation can be kind of steered or advised, given options of what they could do, but it has to come from within.
Yeah, fair play. And then we've got a couple of questions from a young man called Andy Lund. I think you might know him.
Yeah, no, never heard of him.
So he wants to know, what was better, winning the UK downhill overall title in 2019 or being Powys ping pong champion?
Yeah, I think that's simple. Winning the British downhill overall. I mean, ping pong champion's brilliant, but it's just a bit of fun and games. Yeah, I think that's pretty much answered.
Were you pretty seriously into ping pong, or was this some kind of pub related?
No, not at all. We had like a village Olympics where each village was their own team, and we had all the different events, and I competed for my village in ping pong, and I won the gold medal for ping pong in that tournament, and that's kind of where that stemmed from, really, I think.
Nice. You never followed that career path?
No.
Fair enough. And then his second one, well, he was wondering if you'd ever beaten Veronica Widman in an arm wrestle.
He loves putting me to shame on live feed, doesn't he? The answer is yes, I have. But it did not come easily, and I lost a good few times before I won. So, yes, I lost.
Fair play.
With Great Depression.
So she's a bit of an arm wrestling champion then?
Yeah, Veronica Widman is she's an absolute beast. She's very, very strong. She's an insane athlete for sure.
Yeah, another one to watch for the women's podium next year, or this year, if we get some racing.
And she's got some potential for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, I am all out of questions for you, and I think you wanted to ask me some questions.
Yeah. So I don't know if this has ever been done before, if anyone's ever asked you any questions, but
not often.
Thinking about it, it's just some stuff I wanted to know about you, so I thought, why not do it on a live feed? And firstly, I kind of want to know, what's your goal for Downtime Podcast? What's your dream vision for the future of this?
It's a good question. I think, well, the first thing is to make it sustainable, so that I can spend all of my time, or a lot more of my time, focusing on making content rather than on putting food on the table. So I think that would be really cool if we can get it to that point. I don't think it's a million miles away from it, but it just needs a bit more support. But we'll get there. And yeah, then I can spend more time on the content. I'd like to put out more if I could. I'd like to do more episodes in person when this pandemic's over, because we were doing more of those and they were going really well. It's a lot nicer. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed doing it in person until I couldn't do it in person anymore. So yeah, getting out and about.
Do you have any hopes or dreams of kind of doing it live reports from World Cup races every round or anything like that?
Yeah, I'd like to be at all the World Cups for sure, because it's a really good place to record content anyway, and to get to know you guys better, and then we have better conversations when you come on the show, I think. So that's always a good thing to do. And then yeah, we've done the post race shows a bit with Elliot and Nico the last couple of years, and it would be really cool to do that in person at the races. And it would be good if we could do that somehow live streamed. So this is like dipping my toe in the water a bit, I guess, trying to understand the technology a bit, because that would be cool. And bringing in people and bringing in different guests, and depending on who'd performed or had good stories from that weekend.
I thought this for a long time is in Supercross. I follow that quite a lot. They always have the pre-race press conferences where the top rider from each team answers like questions from the media. And in Downham we have nothing like that. I think it'd be amazing if someone like yourself could produce a pre-race program. I don't know if there'd be any room from Red Bull, but if say you could interview all the riders from one team with a bit of like hype, trying to up it, like maybe getting some people like Luke to say something about Pierre and then Pierre saying he's going to smoke him, a bit of hype to kind of make it all the more exciting for the spectators. And I thought, maybe you could be the man to start something like that, but maybe Red Bull wouldn't even pass it at all. Maybe they would just say no.
I don't know how it works. So Red Bull did do something. I think it was a one-off. They did like a pre-race thing in Lozenge when we raced there a couple of years ago. I think they had Simon Burney, Warner kind of hosted it. Maybe Miriam was on the little panel, and they just sat and had a bit of a chat for an hour or so pre-race. And it was a good little show. But yeah, something like that would be fun. I don't know how it works with Red Bull. I know I've seen other people kind of struggling with some of the rules and stuff. Like I know Cathro had some issues that I think's all been resolved. But yeah, it'd definitely be something to look into. It's the challenge with it is the financial aspect of it, right?
Yeah, even if you could work alongside Red Bull to provide them with that service, I don't know. It's something that I've always thought would be amazing to have in our sport, would raise awareness and excitement for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so another question, Favourite rider? I don't know why I thought this, but obviously you've spoken to a lot of riders, you're well involved with watching all the World Cups, the race and enduro. Yeah. Is there any riders that stand out to you, think, they've got a sick style or sick kind of whatever?
There's a couple. I mean, from a race perspective, I've always enjoyed watching Sam Hill, like especially back in the day, but even now, like he just loves being on a bike, and he's so creative with his line choice, and you watch some of the old footage of him getting the way he just steers from the rear, and like, it was just insane the speed that he was carrying through some stuff. So Sam, I mean, I guess it's the obvious one, but Sam, I'm always a fan of.
One that comes up often for sure.
Yeah, big time. And then I love watching Rat Boy ride a bike because for two things. One is the style, like it's insane. He's an incredibly stylish rider. And then the second side of it is that grin that's on his face the whole time. Like he just looks like he's absolutely loving it. And I miss that from World Cups, but I understand why he's doing something different.
And he can do or could do all that while it's riding extremely fast. That's
exactly.
What always blew my mind.
Yeah. And then just this week I really enjoyed, it's the video Hurricane, I think, with Frix and Estac. Like, I think those boys have got something going on there. That was pretty wild ride to watch. So I think, some of these upcoming young French riders as well, like I would include Piron in that, like pretty amazing style, good riders to watch.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I think them two, Frix and Estac, have got pretty special duo going on there. I've watched that video several times. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's cool. That line they built, I don't know where that is, but the first, like, where there's like two tracks kind of crossing over, and some impressive work gone on there to build that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
The next question: when did you first record the first podcast?
So the first episode went out, pretty sure, on the 14th of February 2017. So it was my Valentine's present to the mountain bike world.
Really?
And it was Chris Kilmurray. He was the only person I could get to respond to any emails. And
No way.
he put his trust in me, and we did an episode. And I think 92 people or something downloaded it on the first day. And I was pretty happy with that. I was trying to imagine 92 people in the room, and I was like, that's all right. I'm okay with that. And Chris helped put me in touch with a few other people, like Katie Winton, he was training at the time. And just gradually went from there.
Come a long way. I hope for similar growth over the next 2 years as well. Then,
if it keeps going, it's been interesting. Like, I think a lot of people have been discovering podcasts while they've been stuck at home over the last couple of months. So I think we've lost some listeners because people that were commuting to work and listening in the car are now stuck at home, and they're trying to do a day job and look after their kids and all this kind of stuff. So I think there's a few people that haven't been listening that are starting to come back now that, like, people are going back to work a bit. And then a load of new listeners as well, which is cool. So the more the merrier, really, but it seems to be going pretty good.
Brilliant. And last question, what was your background before Downtime Podcast? I believe you was an engineer of some sort, is that correct?
That is right. I was a mechanical engineer, and I worked in the automotive industry. So, basically working with cars. Let me just sort that out. Technology is failing me. Working with cars. So I spent about 20 years, I suppose, doing a lot of stuff was noise and vibration based. So I guess the most famous thing I worked on was the McLaren MP412C when they relaunched the supercar program. So I looked after the intake and the exhaust system on that, which was a bit interesting. So
crazy.
Some strange days. We had I think the worst day on the project, we had two prototype cars at, I can't remember what circuit it was, at one of the race circuits, and we had Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton driving the two cars, and we had a helicopter and a film crew doing some media basically to kind of get some hype around the car, and both of the cars broke, and both of the cars broke because of parts that I was responsible for. So I had, I had two Formula One drivers, a helicopter and a film crew stuck, not being able to work because of my engineering. So
that was the engineering career.
Yeah. So that was when I started looking elsewhere. But no. We managed to sort it and get things running again. But yeah, it was a very different world to this. But yeah, there's a lot of crossover, I think, surprisingly, between engineering and this. But yeah, very different.
Fair play. Fair contrast of work now, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Have you got more questions? Because we've got a couple that have come in on the chat here.
No, they were the questions I'd like to have asked, and very well answered.
Thanks, mate. And yeah, good interviewing. I like it. You should do more. Right.
Maybe one day.
We've got a question from Scott Watkins. He says, "Hi guys, big fan. If you could change one thing in the sport of mountain biking, what would it be?"
Well, go on then, you fire away. Aimed at both of us, I think.
That is a good question. What would I change? I think people spend too much time worrying about what they're riding. And that's probably seems weird coming from me, because I do spend a lot of time trying to get my bike set up and understand how it's working and all that. But like, if you don't need the latest, greatest, this and that, and you don't need a particular size of wheel, like you just need a bike and the outdoors, and ideally some other people that like bikes, and you're going to have a good time. So
that's a great answer.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. I think so many people fuss over, oh, shall I get mullet? Shall I get 429? Or shall I get the newest Fox 38 because it's slightly stiffer? Like, none of it really makes a difference. You're still riding a bike and having loads of fun, and unless you're racing at the highest level, does it really matter?
no.
I think you're right, but of course everyone likes to have the latest tech and they enjoy that. So fine balance, but I'd say I'd agree with that. Don't worry too much about what you're on. Like, you can have just as much fun on a Halfords bike, and I think I really mean that. You can have just as much fun.
Yeah, too, and you can get just as loose. You might not be going quite as fast, but you can have as much fun for sure.
Probably get way more loose on a Halfords bike. To be fair.
Well, I was having this conversation with someone the other day. Like, there's a difference between fast and fun, and I think part of having fun is going fast for a lot of us, but it's not all of fun. Like, there are other elements to having fun on a bike, and it's not all just going flat out.
Oh, no. Well, when we're training with a race coming up soon, it's pretty much all just against the clock, riding as fast as we can, flat out. And that's a buzz in itself. But now, in the situation we're in now, it wouldn't really be safe to take them chances, them risks. So we're looking at other ways of riding and still developing our skills. And that's kind of, something we've been doing recently, is how creative can you get with your lines? Like, just trying to really open up unimaginable lines that, they're probably not faster at all, but they're creative, and it's kind of opening up that mindset and that level of skill to be able to ride them. So I think fun can be had in so many different ways, and I think that's kind of shown within social media now. There's so many people just doing big shroups, letting their tires down so that their tires make loads of noise when they hit the corner, and stuff like this, which couldn't be any more different to racing bikes flat out, but it seems to be probably even more popular than racing bikes and riding fast. So it's just a combination of everything.
For sure. All right, we got another question from I'm going to try and pronounce this, Fabian Fafli. He says he's 23 years old, too late to start racing, with a dream to race in the EWS. He's been riding for 3 years.
Says he's too late?
Yeah.
I'd say not.
I agree.
Definitely not. What's an example? I don't know. I don't think that's too late.
Well, KJ didn't start till pretty late. Catherine Sharp, and she was riding and racing EWS within, I think, 3 years, maybe less, of starting riding.
I think Veronica Woodman, she's very similar background of that. I don't know, but she was well into her 20s before she started racing downhill. So I wouldn't say too late. No, look at Sam Hill. How old is he? He's still at the top of his game.
Yeah.
So is he about 35 or even older?
I don't know. Early 30s, I think. Yeah.
Anyway, from 23, that's a good 10 years of riding.
Yeah.
And I haven't been riding for 10 years.
Yeah.
No,
well,
I haven't been racing for 10 years, so.
Yeah. Pete was racing World Cups at 40, so.
Yeah, exactly. I think crack on now. Not too late.
Definitely.
So if you leave it a few more years, it might well be. So get going now.
Get stuck in. All right. And then one more question. Rebecca Darwin wants to know which World Cup track do you enjoy riding the most?
Okay, so that's actually my girlfriend that's asked that. World Cup track do I like riding the most? Maribor, I think. Just because it's, to me, it's proper down and it's so raw. It's got bits of everything in it. Steep tech, fast jumps. It's just proper downhill riding, in my books anyway. So I absolutely love that place, and the dirt's amazing. So yeah, Maribor, but everywhere's pretty sick. It's just sick in its own way.
Maribor, boy, from watching World Cups, it would be the one I'd want to go and ride.
Yeah, for sure.
Just looks fun.
Proper downhill.
Yeah.
Up the pedal.
That's what you want, isn't it? Yeah. And it's not quite Val di Sole.
No. Val di Sole's so gnarly and rough to a point where it's really, really difficult to find a flow. Every time we race there, everyone's struggling on practice because they feel terrible because it's that hard to find a flow. Whereas Maribor's a bit more, you can get a rhythm easier, so it's funner to ride. Whereas Val di Sole's just hard work. It's brilliant when you get into the rhythm, but it takes some work to get to that point.
Yeah. All right. And then we've got another question from Josh Lancet Edwards. What's your favourite type of cake? I love chocolate cake.
Oh, nice. I like my mum's sponge cake. It's unreal.
Classic Victoria sponge.
Yeah, a bit of jam in the middle, a bit of cream, and then some sort of icing on the top. Oh, it's fantastic.
Nice. That sounds good. I'm coming to your house when lockdown's over for a bit of that.
Yeah, feel free.
Nice one. All right, man. Well, it's been super interesting chatting, catching up, finding out what you've been up to since we last saw you. Thanks for asking a few questions. That's new to me, so it's nice to be on the other side of it.
Great answers. Thank you.
Cool. And yeah, if everyone, I hope you've all enjoyed watching. If you did, give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There'll be more coming up. So yeah, keep in touch, and we'll have some more live episodes for you coming up soon. See you later.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Cheers.